of hydrochloric acid. That's our volume of our acid. Now, reading back into the question, it tells us that this titration was used to find the unknown molar concentration of the base. So that means that our molarity of the base is X. Now, this seems a little confusing because when I look down at the question, it says calculate the volume of sodium hydroxide, but we know that our unknown is actually molarity. So we want to go and concentrate in here at trial number 3. And at trial number 3, what you'll notice is that we have the 10 milliliters of acid, which was repeated in the question, and then we have 2 volumes for the base. Remember that we're using burettes, and in order to determine the volume, you're going to have to do subtraction. So here our answer is simply 12. The next question asks us to refer to reference table M. Let's see. Question number 17 is a reading comprehension question, and it talks about acid, nitric acid, being spilled into a pond whose pH is 8. The first question asks, which ion has increased due to the addition of acid? So in order to answer this question, we're going to refer to reference table K, common acids. Here, you'll notice that most acids start with a hydrogen, and you'll recall that Arrhenius says that acids give off hydrogen as the only positive ion in solution. So in this case, the acid should increase in hydrogen or hydronium ion concentration. The next question concerns pH, and it asks, what's the new pH of the solution? Remember that the pH scale is a scale of 0 to 14. And initially, the reading tells us that the pH was at 8. But since we've added acid, we have to move in the acidic direction or to a lower number. And so the reading tells us that the solution was 1,000 times more acidic. Now 1,000 is the same thing as 10 to the third power. So we're going to need to move 3 units of pH. So that goes from 8 to 7 to 6 to 5. So the new pH is going to be 5. Now, the next question asks, what color will bromothiamyl blue in the new pH, which is a pH of 5? For indicators, we're going to have to refer to reference table M. Here we find that bromothiamyl blue at a pH of 5, which if this range was placed in a number line, it would be to the right. So, or the left, because I don't know my left from right. So we see that 5 is to the left of 6. So that means that we're going to have the color to the left. So bromothiamyl blue will be yellow. The next question asks us, whose water solution conducts electricity? Now, the conducts electricity refers to electrolytes. The only electrolytes include acids, bases, and salts. And the next clue is it turns phenolphthalein pink. For this question, we're going to look at phenolphthalein in the reference table, and we're going to look at pink. Now, when phenolphthalein is pink, since pink is the rightmost color, it's going to be the rightmost pH or higher. So that means a pH of 9 or higher. We recall that a pH of 9 corresponds with a base. So now we must refer to reference table L to see if we can locate a base. So here on reference table L, we'll notice that sodium hydroxide is found and is a base. The next question asks us to calculate, and when we read through the question, we'll notice this key term, titration. Anytime you are asked to calculate, the first place you should refer is reference table T. Now let's read the question and see what we can determine. So in the question, we are given that we have a 1.2 molar hydrochloric acid. So this is our MA. And we know that we have an unknown molar sodium hydroxide. So this is MB, which will be X. Now, the first question asks us to calculate the volume of sodium hydroxide used to neutralize 10 milliliters of acid. So here we have our VA. So what we're looking for here is VB. So it initially appears that we have two X's, that we're looking for both MB and VB. But then, when we examine our chart, and in particular, we are concerned with trial 3, we notice that we are actually given two volumes that correspond with sodium hydroxide. Remember, we are using a burette, and whenever you're using a burette, you're simply going to take the difference between the two values to find the volume. So this volume for trial 3 is 12 milliliters. The next question asks us to refer to reference table M. Let's have a look. So here on reference table M, we're asked to pick an indicator. Interestingly, in the problem, we're not given any pH values, but we know that when we combine an acid and a base, we're going to make water. And water has a pH of 7. So basically, what we're looking for is an indicator that would have a different color before 7 as it did after 7. So there are actually a couple of indicators on reference table M that would be good for this purpose. We see that bromothymol blue is a fairly good choice here because 7 is in between its range of color changing. Lipness is also a good choice for this purpose. Now, the reason that I would give for this is that it shows a different color before neutralization as compared to after neutralization.